I'm Joe. I'm a dad of 4 girls, and I was diagnosed with epilepsy in when I was in like 7th grade. I believe it was either 7th or 8th grade. I don't remember for sure. Um, and have been on medication, a lot of different medications since then, um, and gone through a very long journey of trying to figure out what to do to best take care of that. So that's kind of the all of that in a very brief nutshell for me.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I have not been on that many medications. I'm Morgan. I was diagnosed with epilepsy in 2004, 2003. So we're going on a lot of years with living with epilepsy and the wonderful, beautiful journey it is. I have been on the same 2 medications, Lamictal and Zonegran. We're going to see actually a functional neurologist next week to dive a little bit deeper into epilepsy and underlying issues, because the neurologist I've been using for all my life doesn't quite give me the answers. But anyways, so I'm I'm a single mother, a yoga teacher, fitness coach, and just empowering mothers with epilepsy, not with epilepsy, but just living in their truth, overcoming adversity. And yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Cool. I kind of want to, if you guys are watching, this is kind of what the idea is. Morgan and I have talked quite a bit off camera about this, so we kind of have an idea of, we want to talk with people who have like various diagnoses as far as like chronic conditions, and bring people in, talk with them, and kind of just help put a face with the different conditions, help people to better understand what it is to live with different things. Have people tell about it from their perspective, not from a doctor's perspective. You can read about it in books, you can hear about it from doctors, but to hear about it from someone who lives with it is a whole different thing. So that's kind of the idea with this. And we're starting out with us kind of sharing our story and about us, and then we're going to go from there. And we have several people already scheduled for that. So that's what it'll be in the upcoming weeks. Next thing I wanted to get into kind of was there something that happened that caused this to start? Was there something at the beginning for you that started, as far a lot of people will have like a head injury or something like that, is what the idea is. Was there something for you that caused epilepsy? I'll let you go first on this one.
Okay. No, nobody can ever really give me an answer as far as why epilepsy occurred in my life. We kind of just pieced together, it runs in my genetics. So it's a family thing on my paternal side. I believe it's paternal, like my father's mother's side is where it comes from. So, and it just happened, I guess, through puberty, kind of hormones really sparked it up. Some women, just go through puberty, and others get epilepsy with it.
Winning.
Right, exactly. Just icing on the cake.
Man.
What beautiful. And I'm not the only one. I've learned, I guess this is kind of with epilepsy, if you have it in your genetics, it's hormonal. It can be caused with hormones, unfortunately. So yeah. Thankful for social media now that people can feel less alone and we can talk about it. So
yes, 100%.
Unlike, I'm sure you were with me kind of in the initial stages where you felt really isolated with it. Still can feel really isolating, but to know that you're not just experiencing this crazy, all-consuming body a takeover by yourself is a lot. I don't know. What's
Yeah.
hard?
Yeah, I mean, and then you talk about it being isolated, and 100% it is. Like in the beginning, for me, it was completely isolating. I didn't know anybody else around me that had epilepsy. I didn't know anybody else who had gone through that at all. Um, and so, yeah, it's very isolating. There's no one, it feels like there's no one that understands what you've been through. You don't have anybody to talk to, um, or anything like that. And so now with social media, you can connect with people. Um, and I know it makes it sound like I'm like 1,000 years old, but we're really not.
It feels like it's been
when
a
I was
thousand
born,
years.
it
It
does.
does.
Um,
It does.
so, but yeah, like before it was so common and stuff to be on social media, um, you just didn't have that connection with people, to just like easily go on there like this, sit and talk with people, go into a Discord, talk to people on Discord. You had AOL chat rooms, but those were hit or miss. And then it was like, I mean, but yeah, so anyways, with mine, how it started is, have no idea. Same kind of a thing is there's absolutely nothing that started it. Like I said, it started like 7th or 8th grade. So about puberty time for me, but there wasn't anything in my family history though that would have brought it on. And so it was just kind of like I was just happened. And so it's just one of those things that's just weird because there's nothing that they did so many different tests, everything like that. They try and like look at everything else. They have no idea at all. They're just like, well, you're just the lucky one, I guess. I don't know. It's so wild. Yeah. There's so much that's unknown about it at this point. It's just like with
Still.
all the medical knowledge they have, there's so much that's unknown about it.
Yeah, the brain is that. I think that's where it gets to a point, especially it seems like we've kind of had it for quite a long time for it still to have the same answers.
Yeah.
Initially, like the same. I still get the same answers that I get when I was initially diagnosed. And I think that's problematic. Like I feel very like that is a problematic thing to me with
Right.
not having an answer to why this is happening. So
Right.
all the people that come to you, just like people who come to me when they're diagnosed and they have no answers and pills are the only thing, given. And that is just, a coin toss as well. Right.
Right. Yeah.
So it isn't like many other things that they have a strategic plan that is going to help you live a better life. This is really like a coin toss to maybe you'll live a better life and it will be a long life, possibly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it is an awful, there is no sugarcoating that initial diagnosis at all. So,
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's any way around it to make it, I guess it's a journey like anything to get.
Right.
You have to have proof you're going to survive it.
Yeah.
It's a
But I think the fact that we now have, there's more ways to connect with other people, makes it easier because you can find other people easily who have gone through the same thing you've gone through or similar and talk to other people where it didn't used to be that easy. And so you used to have to kind of just go through it. You just were fighting through it and you would rely on the support of your family, which is great if you've got a supportive family, which I did. But you rely on that support, but they still don't understand. And
was your
having someone who
family
understands? So
was your family I do have a, did your family treat you fragile, or did they treat you differently than
Um, in the beginning, like in the very beginning, yes, they did. They would have treated me. They did treat me a lot more as far as like fragile. Um, if you watch in my videos though, like you can see like my main video of me having a seizure is posted here, YouTube, Instagram. So it's all over. It's had a lot of views and stuff. And so like in that one, it's kind of funny because I'm sitting in my bed in the hospital bed, and I'm actually coloring. I love coloring. It's very therapeutic and stuff. But anyways, I'm sitting there and I start to have a seizure, and my mom is in the video. My girlfriend at the time was in the video, and then my brother is off camera. And you can hear him say, "Oh, hey, mom, he's having a seizure," because my mom was talking, but he's so calm about it, and it's just like, "Oh, hey, he's having a seizure." And I asked him about that, like just like fairly recently, and he's like, "Yeah, it got to the point where we were just used to it.
right?
It was nothing surprising at all." And it was just like, "Oh, hey, Joe's having another seizure, so we'll just deal with it and we'll move on." And so that was kind of like that to me was reassuring, I guess. Like going back now and looking at that, that was reassuring to me that they got past the idea of me being fragile, and got to the point of, okay, this is something that we're just gonna have to deal with. We'll deal with it and then we'll move on, because it's not gonna change anything. We can't freak out every time it happens,
Yeah.
because it's not gonna change anything. So
Yeah, I think that's like the biggest thing I have, even though like I've lived on my own since I hit 18, right? My mom and everybody, I think it's like the fragileness of it is still, and I don't know necessarily if it's a fragile, it's more of like the scare, being scared you're going to lose somebody, right? You're literally
right,
the visualization of life and death. I
yeah,
think I think is what it is. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, I still get these moments where I'm treated like you are a toddler, and I've done a lot of work to where it doesn't infuriate me, but I think that trying to strip my independence was a really big journey. And I think I was reflecting on that the other day, what a lot of teens that go through it, or 20-year taking that independence from you, is probably a struggle.
yeah.
So I didn't know if your family dynamic, if they still allowed you to kind of still have your independence and not treat you like you couldn't be all that you were going to be, right?
Yeah, and I think, I mean, obviously, I wasn't driving during that time, because it was I couldn't get my license because of having seizures
Right.
several times a week. So that was a big thing as far as independence for me, but that wasn't something that they controlled.
Yeah.
As far as them like holding me back at all, I don't feel like they did. I feel like they encouraged me to do things, and I also like the the doctors, I think, are the ones that wanted to like hold me back and were like, you will never accomplish X, Y, and Z, or it will be very difficult for you to do X, Y, and Z, and that to me is like a driving force of, you think I'm not gonna do that? Well, I'm
Right.
gonna do that. Like
Same,
you tell me
same.
I'm not gonna do that, I'm gonna do that. So yeah,
I have that same, yeah. It's like fire.
right.
And I feel the same, is that it's almost debilitating in a way, because I don't think a diagnosis should define who you are
Yeah,
and limit you, right?
right.
And that is exactly what it can do, is debilitate you. And because
Yeah,
you over identify with it, like that is all you are now. Like this is your whole life. This is all you are. And that is, I think, part of what I try to do is get people to stop identifying so much, with
Right.
all these labels pressed upon us.
Yeah. Well, and
But
you talked about
that's so
that kind of
great.
good, like just recently in one of your videos, you talked about that kind of as far as like the labels and stuff like that, about how, okay, yeah, I am an epileptic, and so what? Who cares? Because it doesn't matter. That's not like that doesn't define me. I can define myself within that or whatever. I don't remember exactly how you said it, but I can be whoever I'm gonna be and still have epilepsy. I can be an epileptic. I can be, for me, a dad, for you, a mom, and have all the things that are amazing and awesome about life, and all these different things that define me, but I get to decide what that is for me. I don't know. I really like that video that you put out because it was like, yeah, you know what? Those things they do define me in a way, but I also get to kind of define how they define. I don't know. I don't know how to say it in the correct way exactly, but
Yeah, you absolutely, you get to choose who you want to be. Like other people don't, I think labels are so great. Like the identities we choose help us relate to other people. That's how, saying me too is so powerful. And there's a Me Too movement. Like, so the identities are great. The labels are great as long as they are positive, powerful, they help you move forward. If an identity and a label brings you a negative connotation, just like the addiction, right? I don't label myself an addict because I don't see addict as a positive thing. A
right.
lot of people literally live their whole entire being as I am an addict because that keeps them sober. NA and AA, anytime I used to say I am an addict in AA, I would go drink. Like it literally is a debilitating thing to me because I just don't identify. It's not a good thing for me. But some people it is. And then some people with epilepsy, it's the same thing. So identifying and talking about epilepsy can also be more harmful, I think, initially, because it can cause stress on the nervous system. So maybe the suppressing and not dealing with the emotions right now, especially in the initial, maybe that's not a good thing. Of if you have not been epileptic your whole life and you're now an epileptic, that identity crisis I talked about, like that's a real thing. And so navigating that's a whole identity thing.
Right.
So yeah, it definitely is. What do you agree with that is going to move you forward? And that will change and evolve over your life. So absolutely. It's a definite pick your choices that help you, and those will change as you grow.
As far as like, let's talk about like testing and stuff, because like I know there's different tests that they run and stuff, and I don't want to go through like everything. But let's talk about what we've gone through as far as like testing, to try and figure out what was going on and stuff. So for me, I've had multiple times where I've had stays in the hospital. They put electrodes on my head. I can't even think of what exactly the test is called, but they put electrodes on my head. Then I sit there on camera, wait to have a seizure. That's one of like this, like, that's scary, because you're sitting there, you're taking off of all your medication, and you're basically waiting to do the thing that you don't want to do. Nobody wants to have a seizure.
No.
But you're sitting in the hospital waiting intentionally to have a seizure so that they can be recorded on camera, so that you can have all of your brain waves recorded. Hey, Jilly. And you can, they can then take that and figure out where in the brain your seizures are originating from, and other use that with other information as well. So that was one of the more nerve-wracking tests that I've been through. And then CAT scans, CTs, MRIs. I mean, all of the other tests that they've done like that. They did one test where they actually have two. You can't see them at all because of my hair, but I have two scars on my head here and here that are actually, they're just like holes that they drilled through my skull and put strips onto my brain to run tests that way and see if they could figure out exactly where my seizures are coming from. They're coming from everywhere in my brain, and so they can't do anything about that as far as like surgically, because it would require a full taking my brain out. That doesn't work so well. But so yeah, I've had a lot of different tests done as far as trying to get that figured out. And the same thing then, because you go through all these tests, and with all the medical knowledge they have, the answer is still, I don't know.
Right.
You just have them.
This is the way it is.
Yeah.
Your brain does this. Sorry.
Exactly. You have this. We don't know why. We don't know what starts them. We don't know why you have them.
You have a profound purpose later in life. You will figure it out.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that.
you just have to have seizures. Sorry.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what you've gone through as far as tests. If you've done, if you've had anything as far as tests and stuff.
I had EEGs,
Okay.
I believe, and I remember. Actually, you know what? That was my nurse for that who glued all those things to my head. She was my 1 ounce of hope in that whole awful ordeal when I was just in intense depression. I wouldn't even talk to my doctors. My mom had to talk to my doctors because I refused to acknowledge them. I was like, y'all people are crazy. I don't know what y'all are telling me, but this is not right. You know, like I was a flyer, I was a cheerleader, like all of that like was coming to a stop. And so she told me, she was like, oh, I have 2 kids. Because I had juvenile myoclonic jerks. That's what started. I didn't have seizures yet. But they said JME, you know, I most likely will have them. So she was like, well, I just throw things. Well, my husband and me will have dinner parties and I'll be carrying trays and I'll just start throwing things and he'll be like, honey, go sit down. And so this woman who had exactly what I had, she had kids, a nice family, I got a good job. So I'd hope when I thought I was dying, you know, like I didn't think I was going to make it to 16. Like I thought this was it for me. And she like kind of made me think in that moment, I was like, all right, well, this is my purpose. Like, I don't know exactly what, like in my very young brain, I was just like, this is just what I want to do. Like, I want to make somebody feel like this. Like, there's got to be some purpose in it. But I know that was off subject, but that was really the only test that I've asked my neurologist 20 bazillion times. She was like, you don't need any. Your medicine's balanced, you're balanced. I'm like, well, why do I have breakthrough seizures? And so that's why we're going to the functional neurologist. So they do a lot of tests, like everything. And those are tests as far as like the gut, body, brain. So there's science that I've researched into. And a lot of epilepsy, you know, they have the keto diet, but there's more to it. As far as epilepsy has become more profound, and that's due to the American diet.
Okay.
And, you know, doctors aren't going to do that because our healthcare system is made to keep
How they make their money.
Yeah, exactly. It's not to keep people healthy, it's to prevent people from getting, sicker, I think, or it's not preventative care.
It's not preventative care. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all reactive care.
Exactly. So they don't, but functional neurologists and functional doctors, that is preventative care. That is what it is. Okay. It's just people can't afford it. Like, you can't freaking afford it. It's you pay out of pocket. Insurance is not a thing for it. And so it's just not a answer for most people. However, I sold my house. Like, I did a lot of things to take these measures because I was like, this is just crazy. So yeah, that will be talked about soon once I go through with all of it.
Cool.
To see. Yeah. But yeah, she basically told me she gave me more answers in a matter of 5 minutes on the phone than my neurologist has in years. So, yeah. Because they follow a book and they follow a protocol and they're paid by the drug companies and the big corporations. And that's just the sad matter of what is reality. So.
Yeah. Jilly says, does anything make it worse? As far as for me, the only thing that I have found that will bring a seizure on or anything like that is if I have artificial sweeteners. Besides, not if I don't take our medicine for a really long time, then I'll have a seizure. But I can miss a dose here and there; it doesn't matter.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, if I miss a dose, I can miss 2 doses in a row. It doesn't matter. If I don't take it for a few days, then I will. As far as even if I'm on medication, if I have artificial sweeteners, that will cause me to have a seizure. But that's not the only reason, no. I can have them just randomly too. I can be on my medication, not have any artificial sweeteners, and all of a sudden just randomly have a seizure. So that's kind of the whole question mark thing of
right.
It can just happen. Yeah.
And that's where I'm at with it too. It's like mine, how can somebody be up for days on meth, be perfectly fine? And then I live a very typical, healthy, very strategic, as healthy as you get. And then now my epilepsy is flaring up. Like, right. You can't, like, none of it makes sense.
Yeah.
And it could be hormones. It could be my diet. I have not even thought about artificial sweeteners, but that is a thing. Like soy supposedly is not good for us. Okay. And I just so happened the most recent one, I've been on the carnivore diet or dabbling in it. And then the day I ate soy, I had a seizure. Like my last one, I had one.
Interesting.
And so now, but it's crazy that food impacts it that much. So yeah, I just don't, I don't know. I can't, it mind boggles me, but it's also like, it's not a rare thing. You think you would be putting in a bit more effort, I think.
Right.
In my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's the numbers are very high. I mean, I think it's like 1 in 20 people or something that have epilepsy.
Yeah.
Or at some point in their life will have epilepsy. And even way higher than that at some point in their life will have a seizure.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah, anybody can have a seizure. I mean, that's the thing is like the epilepsy is one thing. The seizures anybody can have. Like nobody that they don't understand okay, so it's something about the brain receiving stimuli at different rates from different sources, right? Like it could be sound, it can be so many different things. But I just find it's a matter of imbalance, basically, if you think about it. More balanced the body is. But the different types of seizures as well. So what type of seizures do you have? Is it just
I
tonic,
never-
clonic?
So the very first one that I had was like the petit mal or absence seizure. Ever since then, it's been all tonic clonic seizures.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, I started out small, and then my body was like, let's just go big and make them all tonic clonic seizures. So
That's fine. Well, I had juvenile
Yeah.
my clonic jerk, so it was like I had Tourette's, and I was just like, "What is happening?" My mom literally thought I was on drugs. She took me to the hospital to get me drug tested, and not yet.
Oh, I remember you saying that. You're like, no,
we
I'm not
we
yet.
weren't yet. We weren't yet, and
Yeah, we'll get
they
there.
are
We'll get there.
probably the worst, honestly, because I have to experience them. And
Yeah.
I honestly, but I've had partial awareness or partial focus,
Okay.
which are pretty
Yeah.
crazy. They feel like you're tripping on something, like it's a
That's
outer.
weird.
It is. It is so weird because it's almost like an outer body experience. Like you're in your subconscious, just watching your body. Like
That's weird.
just yeah. I enjoy those actually because they're just really.
Like, can we get more of those?
Yeah.
If I
It's
can
just my
schedule one, can I get one of
it's-
those?
It's my personality. Well, honestly, I'm not hurting. Like there was no convulsions with those. So it was just literally like I was observing my body, and then I came back to.
It's like being on drugs without the drugs.
Yes, exactly.
You're like, it's great. I get to use drugs again, but not have to be on the drugs.
Yes, it was a very yes. I'm all for experiences like that I can still kind of dabble and have still like my dopamine.
You're like, now I remember why I did them.
Well, I had never had a different type of seizure besides tonic-clonic, so I just thought they were all terrible, right? I just thought they were all awful. So to experience something that wasn't that grand grand series
Yeah, grand.
was so nice. It was like a break. It was like, oh, okay, they don't have to be.
It's not so bad. Not so bad.
It's not that bad. Gosh. But yeah, it's been a while since I've had one of those. So
Yeah. Oh, man.
but for me, triggers it can be anything. Like if I drink too much caffeine, if I don't sleep, the hormones, the week before my period or menstruation, it can be, it's literally a coin toss, or I can go years and nothing. It's a matter of really, I think stress and food is an underlying of all of that. And sleep is definitely a factor in that as well. So
it's funny because all the normal things that people talk about like stress, people talk about heat, cold, lack of sleep, all these different things that people talk about, and I'm just like, none of that affects me at all because I work outside. I can work outside in like 110 degree weather all day, have no water, no food, and just be like completely dehydrated. and none of that affects me at all. But if I have artificial sweeteners, boom, I'm done. Like, this is so weird. Like
at least
whatever.
you isolated it though, so
yeah.
But I've not even thought, because I've been drinking a lot of Diet Coke lately. Well, I mean, not like a lot, but that's like my caffeine. Like I don't drink coffee or anything, so if I need a little bit of caffeine, like I'll have a Diet Coke.
Okay.
So I wonder if that is one. I love sugar now. I don't discriminate against sugar. Like I don't care if it's artificial, real, healthy. We all know I have an addiction past. That's still very present.
So now, or I talked with my pastor like probably 2 months ago now, And he asked me, he's like, "Have you ever been affected?" Because he has epilepsy too. He's like, "Have you ever been affected by like artificial sweeteners?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can't have them at all." And he's like, "Really?" He's like, "I drink like Diet Mountain Dew all the time." And he's like, "I just stopped like a month ago, and I haven't had a seizure since then."
I am so about to
And I was
try
like,
that.
"Really?" I was like, "That like so he's the second person now that I've heard besides me, that knows that triggers it." So yeah, I'm just like, wow, and I know they're bad for you. I mean, they're
Well, yeah, I mean,
terrible. They already know they cause cancer and all kinds of other things. So
yeah,
just one more reason to not have them. So
absolutely. Well, yeah, I'm about to. Oh my gosh. I mean, that makes sense.
and they're in a lot of things, a lot of things.
Okay. Well, I have to look at that then.
I've
Yeah,
gotten pretty
I'm
good
sure.
now at knowing what they're in and not having those around at all. And then just being able to kind of identify, because they go by so many different names too. You have like aspartame and stuff
Right.
like that. That's like the big names. But then there's obviously they're not going to use like that name brand in like as an ingredient in something. So you have to figure out what the other like sucralose is artificial sweeteners, but that's what they use typically as an ingredient when they're making something. So
Huh. I'm okay. I'm gonna have to research that.
so yeah, you have to figure out what all the different names are for it, and I can't think of all of them off the top of my head. But I just know when I look at the ingredients or something what they are. So
Oh my gosh. So sweetener though, like regular sweetener is
like
there?
corn syrup.
Yeah. Well, I don't think
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, I have that all
it's
the
just
time.
artificial. That's interesting.
Yeah. So,
Okay. Well, that is good to know.
yeah.
I'm just gonna live off literally meat. I'm just gonna be a carnivore. I'm just like
That works.
it just keeps becoming more and more appealing. Like I've just been dabbling us into it, which I've lost a lot of weight and become like or more leaner anyways, and I'm seeing
Right.
really good. I mean, it's actually pretty good as far as comparing to the keto too.
Yeah.
But now it's just kind of like, all right, maybe I just need to go full into it. Like just rid everything.
Yeah.
'Cause soy, I mean, all of it is just.
Yeah.
All right, well, I guess I'll give up my Diet Cokes. I have 3% left. 3% left on this iPad. I didn't get it fully charged for live thing.
Okay.
But, and I try to use the phone again, but I don't think you'll be able to hear me. So
Okay.
I'll be
Yeah,
more
that's
prepared
okay.
next week.
Yeah. No,
This
that's
is our
fine.
trial.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, what questions do you want to wrap up here before I pop off?
I would just say like, and before we go, like, what's something that you would say to someone who's just starting out on this journey, like to encourage them? What's something that you would say to someone who's like just found out that they have epilepsy?
Just found out that you are not alone, and what you are feeling is not. I would say, like, or honestly, I would just don't be ashamed. You know, like give yourself grace in this. Shame and guilt were really heavy emotions, I think, in getting that feeling different. Especially if you've lived a good majority of your life as ableist, you know, you're an ableist. You lived a whole different power structure than somebody with a disability, but you are just as amazing as you were with or without the diagnosis. So just give yourself grace, you know, feel your feels. You're going to feel them all over the spectrum. So give yourself time and reach out to your epilepsy community.
I think that last part is like huge. Like reach out, like find people that you can connect with that have either been through what you've been through or have been through something similar to what you've been through. Talk to people. Like, don't try and go through this alone. You don't have to. And so don't. Like, talk to people, express what you're feeling, like reach out to people and just connect with people so that you don't have to feel alone. You never have to feel like you are the only one that understands what you're going through. Because so many people have gone through this and so many people are out here willing to talk with you, willing to help you get through this. And I don't ever try and like lie to people and say, listen, you're going to be so much better on the other side. Like you're going to get through this. You're never going to have seizures again. I don't ever tell people that because I have no idea what it's going to look like for people. But I do tell people, listen, you can live an amazing life in spite of having a diagnosis, in spite of having epilepsy, in spite of having seizures. Doesn't matter. You can still live an amazing life and do so many amazing, great things. So definitely reach out, definitely talk to people and get the community and the support that you need. So.
Couldn't have said it better. That was amazing.